Hey, what's up, tubers? It's Tony, and today I'm going to show you quickly as I possibly can how to replace your alternator on your 2008 Jeep Commander. It should be the same roughly on most of the Jeeps for the most part. The alternator failed simply because it's a man-made item, guys. I do not have the new alternator yet. I'm waiting for it to be delivered. Before you start working on anything electrical in your vehicle, such as an alternator, it's always a great idea to disconnect the black cable from your battery. This keeps you from burning up your vehicle's computer by accident or blowing other fuses by accident, okay? Tools you'll need to do this job: a rubber hammer so you can crack on the alternator without damaging it, one of these pry bar sets from Harbor Freight made by Pittsburgh. You will need a 3/8 ratchet 15mm socket, and this is optional, guys. A 18mm socket and a long driver for leverage. You will need a Torx T30 screw remover, as you'll need to remove or loosen 2 screws, one there and one back there. You'll need a flat blade screwdriver to break loose this clamp, and then there's another clamp like this that sits back there, okay? You'll need a flat blade screwdriver, or I believe it's a 10mm socket to break that loose, okay? Keep in mind, everything that you take apart will go back together in the reverse order that you are going to use to take it apart. So, the first thing you want to do is, once you disconnect the black cable from your battery, you want to take your 3/8 ratchet 15mm socket, put it on this tensioner pulley right here, and then you want to crank it towards the driver's side of the motor. Now, sometimes cranking this little ratchet can be extremely hard, and when you crank it towards the driver's side of the motor, it will loosen the belt. Then you can slip the belt off of this pulley here, and then you want to make this the last pulley that you're going to put the belt back onto. So what I do, guys, is I take an 18mm socket, long driver, put it over the arm of the ratchet, and then watch the belt get loose. So now you can go ahead and slide the belt off of that pulley. So there you are. Just remove the belt and let it hang. FYI, if you are not familiar with how belts are routed on any vehicle, before you remove the drive belt off of any car, pull out your camera and run it just like I'm doing, and you want to film how that belt sits on each and every pulley so that you can put the belt back on correctly in the event that you have any problems or concerns. Oftentimes, folks will reach out to me and tell me that they have an excessive amount of belt in their hands with no place to put it. Don't panic, guys. That simply means that you missed the routing of one of the many pulleys here, and that's why you have that excessive amount of belt. So that's why it's a great idea to pull out your camera first and film how that belt sits on each and every pulley, okay? The next thing you're going to do is get your flat blade screwdriver, break loose this clamp here, place that to the side. There's another clamp like that back there. You can get a long flat blade screwdriver or a 10mm socket and a long driver and break that loose. There are 2 T30 Torx bits that you'll need to remove, one there and one back there. So you'll need a Torx T30 bit remover or screw remover, okay? Once you break this clamp loose, that clamp loose, loosen these 2 screws, you can go ahead and pull this air box out of your way. There's your throttle body back there for those of you who are looking for it. In the end, guys, you have to make sure that this is nice and tight, okay, when you put this back on, okay? The next thing you want to do is break loose this cover for the battery lead. Squeeze in these 2 tabs, pull them up, break loose this 13mm nut, battery lead loose for the electrical connector there. Push down on that tab, pull it free. There are two 15mm bolts that you'll need to break loose. One there and one there. This bolt is longer than this bolt, so make sure you put the bolts back where they go correctly, and then break loose this 13mm bolt right here. Remember, this bolt is shorter, this bolt is longer, so make sure you put them back where they belong, okay? So once you've disconnected all of that stuff, guys, now it's time to remove the alternator from its housing. A lot of times, guys, these alternators will be stuck in their housing. So that's why you take your pry bar set from Harbor Freight made by Pittsburgh, place it up under there and break it free, okay? That's if it doesn't come out. And then you can go ahead and take the alternator out, okay? So there's the alternator. I don't have the new alternator yet. I'm waiting for it to be delivered. Once you get your new alternator and your old alternator should be identical, okay? Go ahead and place your new alternator back into the housing, okay? All right, and what you want to do is you want to try and line up this hole so that you can put the bolt back in. Do the same thing on this side. And that's why you have your handy dandy rubber hammer to bang and knock, so that you don't have to worry about doing any damage. If you need to raise this up so that you can feed the bolt through there, guys, take your pry bar and raise it up, and you'll be able to get your bolt started. So go ahead and put your bolts back in. I'm not going to tighten these up, guys, because I'm going to have to take this crap back out when the alternator arrives. And don't be afraid to use the technique I showed you, like this, for leverage. If these bolts won't come loose, you can use this setup for leverage to help break them free. You just want to turn these bolts until they're nice and tight, guys, and then you can back off. Hook up your battery lead, put its cap back on, hook up the electrical connector, okay? Put your black cover back on back there. Once again, make sure that this is tight. That clip back there is on tight, guys. These two screws there are on nice and tight, okay? And then you can put your belt back on. Remember, route your belt through every pulley except for this one. Now you can go ahead and crank your ratchet and slip the belt back over that pulley. Now the only thing is left is to do a dummy check to make sure that the belt is sitting on each and every pulley correctly. Okay, very important. The belt cannot sit on any pulley crooked, because when you start the vehicle, you'll destroy the belt, okay? If you've done all of this successfully, put everything back together, everything is nice and tight, your bolts, your bolt, electrical connector, battery lead, nice and tight, you can go ahead and hook your battery back up, guys, and you should be able to start your vehicle and you should be good to go. So I hope the video has been helpful, guys, and now you know how to replace the alternator on your 2008 Jeep Commander. Okay? All right, guys. And for those of you who are afraid to work on cars, go to the junkyard, guys. You can work on anything, and if you mess it up, no one will bother you. At least you will have learned something, okay? Thanks for watching, folks.